The wind howled through the empty streets of Portland, Oregon. Street lamps flickered in the icy rain, their dull glow barely cutting through the fog. Jack Miller, a janitor and single dad, pulled his coat tighter around his shoulders as he left the university building where he worked late nights cleaning. At 38, Jack carried the weary look of a man who had lived through too many storms both outside and inside. His wife had left him 3 years ago after discovering his modest paycheck couldn't keep up with her growing taste for luxury. She hadn't just left Jack, she had abandoned their son, 8-year-old Ethan, too. Since then, Jack's life had been a cycle of long shifts, thrift store groceries, and bedtime stories told in a tired voice. But despite everything, Jack had one strength: kindness. He refused to let the bitterness of betrayal change who he was. That night, as he trudged toward the bus stop, he saw her. A young woman, ragged and shivering, sat hunched beneath a streetlight. Her hair was tangled, her clothes soaked through, and she clutched a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry, cold, anything helps." Jack paused. He didn't have much, not even enough to cover next month's rent without juggling bills, but something in the woman's eyes rooted him to the spot. They weren't the dull, glazed-over eyes of someone who had given up. They were sharp, alive, but hidden beneath shame. "Miss," Jack said softly, stepping closer, "you'll freeze out here tonight. Do you have anywhere to go?" She shook her head, hugging her knees tighter. "Doesn't matter. No one sees me anymore." Jack thought of Ethan asleep at home, waiting for him. He thought of the nights when he'd wanted to give up but couldn't for his boy's sake. And now here was this stranger, invisible to the world. "Come on," he said, extending a hand. "I can't offer much, but I can at least get you a hot meal and someplace dry for the night." The woman hesitated, staring at him as if she didn't believe kindness existed anymore. Then, slowly, she took his hand. Chapter 2. The Stranger at the Table. Back at Jack's tiny rented apartment, the woman sat at the worn wooden table while he heated up leftover chicken soup. Ethan, woken by the sound of the door, padded into the kitchen in his pajamas. "Daddy?" the boy whispered, rubbing his eyes. Then his gaze landed on the stranger. "Who's that?" Jack smiled gently. "This Isa Brokenbar, a friend who needed help tonight." "Her name Isa Brokenbar?" The woman hesitated, then said quietly, "Ma, yeah." Ethan grinned sleepily. "Hi, Ma, yeah. You look hungry." Without waiting, he pulled a chair out for her. Ma's lips trembled. No one had spoken to her with that kind of innocent kindness in a long time. She whispered, "Thank you." When Jack placed the steaming bowl of soup before her, she ate as if every spoonful was a treasure. Jack pretended not to notice the tears that slipped down her cheeks. Afterward, Jack gave her a spare blanket and let her sleep on the couch. Ethan fell asleep beside her while they watched cartoons, his small hand resting on hers. Jack stood in the doorway, watching the strange, almost surreal scene of his son asleep against a homeless woman who looked both fragile and strong at once. Something stirred in him, but he brushed it aside. She was a stranger. This was just one night, or so he thought. Chapter 3. A Marriage of Shadows. The days turned into weeks. Ma stayed. She helped around the apartment, cooked when Jack was at work, and read bedtime stories to Ethan. Despite her tattered clothes and mysterious past, she fit into their little family as though she had always been there. But Jack's neighbors whispered, "That beggar woman," they said. "Why is Jack keeping her around?" Then, one day, Jack received shocking news. His ex-wife was taking him to court, demanding full custody of Ethan. She claimed Jack's income and unstable lifestyle made him unfit to raise their son. Jack was devastated. "If she wins, Ethan's gone," he confessed to Ma one night, his head in his hands. Ma studied him quietly. "What if Brokenbar? What if you weren't alone? What if the court saw you had a stable family?" Jack laughed bitterly. "I don't have anyone to marry, Ma." Her voice was steady when she replied, "Then marry me." Jack frowns. "Ma, you don't understand. A Brokenbar marriage isn't something I can offer lightly. Besides, you deserve I don't deserve anything, Jack," she interrupted. "But Ethan deserves to stay with his father. If marrying me helps you keep him, then do it, please." And so, in a small courthouse with no guests, no flowers, no rings except for 2 plain bands Jack bought with his savings, They were married. Jack never imagined his life would take this turn in marrying a woman he had found on the streets. But as he held Ma-Yu's trembling hand, something inside him whispered that this was more than just desperation. Chapter 4. The Woman That Night. Weeks after their quiet wedding, Jack noticed things about Ma-Yu. Strange things. She spoke fluent French to Ethan when helping him with homework. She knew the names of classical paintings Jack had never heard of. Once, when Ethan's shoe tore, she repaired it with a skill that seemed oddly refined. And then there was the night Jack caught her standing by the window, gazing at the city lights. Her face was illuminated with a quiet power, a confidence that didn't belong to someone broken by the streets. "Ma-Yu," he asked carefully, "who are you really?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Do you remember the night you found me? That wasn't the first time we met." Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" She swallowed hard. "Years ago, I was at a gala. You were working there as staff. You carried trays, invisible to everyone else here, but I saw you. You helped me that night in a broken bar when I almost fainted. You gave me water, stayed by my side, even though no one else did. I never forgot your kindness." Jack's breath caught. He had no memory of it. To him, it had been just another night on the job. Ma-Yu's voice trembled. "I wasn't just a guest at that gala. I was the host. My family a broken bar. We own one of the largest tech companies in the country. But when my father died, the board betrayed me, pushed me out, and I walked away from it all. I wanted to know what life was like without money, to disappear." Jack stared at her, stunned. "You a broken bar? You're a billionaire?" Ma-Yu nodded slowly. "And the woman you married isn't just a beggar. She's the woman you saved once before, the one who never forgot the janitor who treated her like a human being." Chapter 5. The Courtroom and the Revelation. When the custody hearing came, Jack walked into the courtroom with Ma-Yu by his side. His ex-wife smirked, confident she would win. But as the judge asked questions, Ma-Yu stepped forward. "Your Honor," she said calmly, "I am Jack's wife, and I am more than capable of providing a stable, loving environment for Ethan." The lawyer scoffed. "And who exactly are you?" Ma-Yu's gaze sharpened. "Ma-Yu Reynolds, former CEO of Reynolds Technologies. My assets exceed $3 billion. The courtroom gasped. Jack's ex-wife went pale. The judge leaned forward, stunned. "Is this true?" Ma-Yu nodded. "Yes, and I choose to stand with Jack, the man who saw me when no one else did. He is not only fit to raise his son, he is the most honorable man I've ever known." In that moment, the tide turned. Jack won full custody of Ethan. His ex-wife stormed out, defeated. Jack looked at Ma-Yu, his heart pounding. She wasn't just the woman he had rescued, she was the woman who had been waiting all along. Chapter 6. Love and the Unexpected. Life changed overnight, not because of Ma-Yu's wealth, but because of her love. She insisted on keeping their life simple, refusing lavish mansions or cars. She wanted Ethan to grow up grounded, just as Jack had raised him. One evening, after tucking Ethan into bed, Jack found Ma-Yu on the balcony, staring at the stars. He slipped his arms around her. "You could have had anyone," he whispered. "Why me?" Ma-Yu turned, her eyes shining. "Because when I had nothing, you gave me everything. Kindness, respect, a family. Money can buy comfort, Jack, but it can't buy love. And love, a broken bar, is what you gave me freely." Tears filled Jack's eyes. For the first time in years, he felt whole. Epilogue. The message. Jack's story spread quietly through his community. People who once mocked him for marrying a beggar now saw the truth, that kindness can change destinies. That sometimes, the person you least expect is the one who saves you. Jack, Ethan, and Ma-Yu built a life not defined by wealth, but by love. A family forged not by blood alone, but by choice, sacrifice, and compassion. And in the end, Jack realized that betrayal had not destroyed him, it had led him to the greatest gift of all. Because sometimes, the beggar on the street is really the billionaire waiting to love you. And sometimes, the act of kindness you think is small, a broken bar, becomes the moment that changes your life forever.